Wow, who would have thought Pokémon Pokopia would be a big hit? Who could have predicted that a first-party Nintendo game exclusive to their hot new console, using the Pokémon license, with gameplay influenced by Minecraft, Animal Crossing, and basically every massively popular cozy home-creating game that ever ploughed a parsnip patch, would do pretty well, as long as it basically functioned and didn't spontaneously urinate acid into the eyes of your 3-year-old, he said sarcastically. I mean, my eldest refuses to go to sleep without her complete set of plush Eevee evolutions guarding outside the door against the tickle monster. Let's face it, the Pokémon IP is the closest thing to a license to print money in this world besides owning a donut shop next door to a dispensary. But let's not be too cynical. Pokopia has many redeeming qualities, even by its own merits. For starters, of all the recent Pokemon games, it seems to have had the most effort put into it, and an explanation for that arises swiftly when we notice it was developed by Koei Tecmo as well as Game Freak, so there was someone on the team who wasn't content to just phone in the usual bollocks with their feet resting on the perfumed bum cheeks of a subjugated Mr. Mime. Pokopia returns us to the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon mindset of focusing on the Pokemon themselves and exactly what they get up to when there aren't any human trainers around ordering them to gouge each other's eyes out. We play as a Ditto, the shape-shifting Pokemon who has taken the form of their absent trainer because we really miss gouging out the eyes of our fellow slaves and being forced to live in Kinder Surprise toy containers. We find ourselves in a strange post-apocalyptic land that the humans have mysteriously abandoned, and our task, as presented to us by a lonely hermitic Tangrowth, is to rebuild the shattered land and encourage the scattered Pokemon to return and set up home, with the stated intention of somehow encouraging the humans to come back as well, because without the human trainers around to order them to mutilate each other and force them to live in balls, the Pokemon are all puttering around doing silly things like be nice to each other and use their powers for constructive purposes. I guess dudes like Scyther might feel their knife hands are being underutilized in a non-combat game, being able to chop lumber being small recompense for ending up in hospital every time you have an itchy bum. There's a rather thought-provoking melancholy at the heart of Pokopia's story. I remember distinctly a moment in one of the Ruined City areas after finding a random text log referencing Vermilion City when I started to think, wait, am I in Vermilion City? And only then realised that what I had taken for a large, mostly destroyed building in the distance was in fact the wreck of the SS Anne. So yeah, we're in post-apocalyptic Kanto, and one gets a distinct sense from the way the Pokemon talk about how much they're looking forward to bringing the humans back and all the parties and cuddle sessions and knife fights they're going to have, that this journey to discover the fate of humanity is probably going to have a few heart-wrenching turns. So for those drawn by the sandbox aspect of this game and only want it so they can take pictures of their fucking Hitmonchan sitting atop a replica Peruvian step pyramid, be aware that there's a surprisingly deep narrative element to all of this. You might be hit by more feels than you expect from the capers of the amusing little electric shelter animals. You might have already picked up on some slightly Minecrafty vibes from the way the environments are constructed from regular tessellating cubes, hence large wrecked cruise liners not being immediately identifiable, and those vibes are by no means setting you astray. You're free to break up and reconstruct the terrain to your heart's content, unless some of it needs to be a certain way for a cutscene, in which case the game goes, you can't do that. No, I won't explain why. I'm entitled to set boundaries in this relationship, fuck you. And the core gameplay involves constructing miniature biomes to attract specific Pokemon, clues to which are scattered through the realm. So you might have to arrange 4 patches of grass next to a tree to attract a Pidgey, or a tree and a chair and a length of rope to attract a morbidly Depresticon or whatever. The goal is to attract as many Pokemon as possible to the region and make them all comfortable, because if they like you enough, they will give you little presents, such as 3 bits of twig or a leaf, and then look at you like you're supposed to be thrilled. It also raises the overall quality of the area, and once that's high enough, you can progress to the next area. And that threw me the first time it happened. I mean, consider the cozy game genre and its luminaries, your Animal Crossing, your Stardew Valley. The first rule of such games is that you stay the fuck in one place and make it really the fuck nice. Felt a bit odd to put so much work into the starting village and its residents only to have to go, see you later, losers. I'm gonna hang with the cool kids on the other side of that loading screen. But then I suppose the narrative emphasis does necessitate some kind of progression path. On that note, another warning for the sandbox likers, you have to get quite a ways through the story to unlock all the basic abilities and establish all the mechanics, but to the game's credit, there's a lot you can figure out just from exploring. And if you do happen to, say, stop up the water flooding Meowth's house before the critical path mission where he asks you to, there's always dialogue acknowledging it. Yeah, the problem's just in here. Wait, you already fixed it? You actually figured out that you can stop water flowing by putting stuff in front of it? Wow, and they say state education's cripplingly underfunded. Pokopia is keeping a lot of cozy game balls in the air, Pokeballs if you will. You can build houses Minecraft style out of terrain Duplos and Pokemon will happily live in them, but you can also build them Animal Crossing style. Stake out a plot, bring a pile of resources and undocumented Pokemon immigrant labourers, and wait an actual real-world day. It's very much a pick-your-poison sort of cozy game where you're invited to engage with its disparate elements as much or as little as you want, but there's a sticking point in that annoying spot right under my left gum where my fingernail can't quite get to it, and it's this. I've had difficulty tearing myself away from the cozy just one more day cycle of your Stardew's and your animal tossings, but I got bored of Pokopia and stopped after about a week of grudgingly starting it up each day with a cry of, gotta at least try to stick with it, the rejected Pokemon slogan before gotta catch 'em all, and what I put that down to is choice paralysis. There's always so many things I could be doing at any moment and so many fucking Pokemon. Impressive though it is that they all have distinct personalities and dialogue, they all want to be made comfortable and I don't know where to start. Whenever I was opening the game thinking, I bet the beach house I ordered will be finished constructing now, the follow-up thought was always, not that it'll appease the ungrateful little piss ants for long. In the final analysis, Pokopia and I failed to meet each other halfway. It's trying to do probably too many things at once, and for my part, I'm not that into Pokemon, and I think the game expects you to have favourites. You can select a specific Pokemon to come and live in your house, so you can try your luck with the old "oh how embarrassing, I must have forgotten to buy a second bed" routine, but I can't get that attached. Especially not to Morbidly Depressticon. Boy, that guy's a fucking project.
This video is brought to you by Game Maker, the friendly indie game engine built for beginners and professionals alike. Making your own game can seem like a daunting venture, like trying to eat a movie theater hot dog in the dark. But thanks to Game Maker's project-based learning resources, even a novice can create games from start to finish, increasing their coding proficiency along the way. The Game Maker YouTube channel hosts a variety of step-by-step guides to help you craft your first RPG, platformer, puzzle game, and more. You can also find written tutorials on the Game Maker website. Reference the Game Maker manual for additional tips and tricks, or consult fellow devs in the Game Maker Discord server and at community meetups. Why, it's just like adding glow-in-the-dark mustard to that sneaky little hot dog. Whether you're an experienced programmer or just starting out, Game Maker has all the right resources to make sure you relish your game development journey. Head on over to the link in the description and bite into game making today.